Yeah, I know. It's been about a month and a half since I've done my last review on anything. I'll explain. I just decided I would take a little bit of a break and relax a little bit and chill because I kind of needed that and I didn't want to have to run around a lot. But now I'm back and I'm back to doing reviews. So let's get started with one that has been out for a couple of weeks, honestly, but I just got around to seeing it. So let's get on to Everest. So Everest is the story of a 1996 expedition climb to the top of Mount Everest, which is the highest mountain on the planet. It's roughly 29,000 feet above sea level, and it stands on the border between Nepal and China. And the movie features a bunch of explorers led by Jason Clarke, Josh Brolin, Jake Gyllenhaal, and some other actors who actually play the real-life counterparts of the characters who actually went on this expedition up Mount Everest. Now, what I already liked about this movie was the fact that it just seems very realistic. I mean, the way the mountain and the environment is shot, it looks perfect. I'm not entirely sure if it was CGI or not, or it could have been mountains, I'm not sure, but what I do know is that it looked absolutely stunning. Like, they actually did climb Mount Everest. Like, they actually had the actors in the mountains doing this as they were filming. On to the actors, they actually did good jobs with the roles they were given, the characters they were meant to play. I actually didn't realize Jake Gyllenhaal was in this movie from the trailers, now that I think about it. I barely saw him at all, but he does a pretty good part in this movie. So, as the movie goes, they basically get to the top of Mount Everest, as you might imagine. But, well, based off the trailers, once they get to the top, they have problems because there's a storm appearing, as you can see in the trailers, and well, that's where problems lie. Now, before I went to see this movie, I did a little bit of reading on the actual disaster of the events that happened, and I was a little bit prepared for what was actually going to happen towards the end of the movie. So, if you read up on it or heard about it in the news, you may have a good idea of what's going to happen. And it's pretty brutal, too. Like, unforgiving brutal. Which is another thing I liked about this movie, because at several points they explained the stats of Mount Everest. They explained how Mount Everest is probably one of the most hostile environments on the planet, and how human beings simply aren't meant to function at that altitude, and their bodies will actually start dying when they get to the top or within 8,000 feet, which is actually called the danger zone, or rather the death zone. And basically, like, if you're not acclimated to it or you're not an experienced mountain climber, you're gonna die. That's all there is to it, which is something actual mountain climbers have to go through, because there are tons and tons and tons of people who make it their life's goal to try and get atop Mount Everest and be on top of the world for that brief little moment in time. And they actually have to carry oxygen with them because the oxygen content is just a fraction of what you're breathing down here at sea level. So they're literally being deprived of oxygen, and it could kill them for all they know. Now, as much as I like this movie, I did have a couple of complaints, and that's with the pacing. At times, it seemed like the movie kind of like shifts between time periods like rather quickly and sometimes kind of slowly, and I'm kind of confused, like, okay, so this just happened, so now we're here, and now we're here suddenly, and like, did I miss something? I'm sure something happened in between, but I guess not. Now, it was a little confusing, a little off-putting, but not enough for me to completely deride this movie. So when I walked out the theater, I told myself, you know what, I had a good time. I liked the movie. I've always thought of Everest as a good IMAX expedition because the first time I saw it, it was in the IMAX theater. It was a great story, great acting, great visual effects. Pacing's a little problematic, but overall, it's definitely a good movie you should go see. I'm pretty sure you've already seen it already, so I'm going to give it a gold ribbon rating. So Everest, have you seen it? What am I saying? You've probably seen it by now. It's been out for like 2 weeks. But if you have seen it, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Is mountain climbing, specifically Everest, something you want to do in your life? Whatever you think, leave me a comment below and tell me how you feel. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitter at AsteroidMike. Don't forget to check out my blog. And as always, I will see you around.